start with telling us a little bit about what you were doing before Europe, how you heard about Europe, and why did you choose to finally join?
Of course. So what I was doing before Europe, I was working at a computer shop for about 2 years. 2 years before I joined Europe, and I was just doing. I was a technician, so repairing computers, and I was also a help desk operator. So attending to customers, taking phone calls, stuff like that, walking them through processes and how to fix a computer. And I heard about Europe through an alumni. Her name was Jennifer Torres. She currently works at Google. And when I found out that, the program and what they're about, and that they got her, an opportunity to intern at Google, I thought that's a great opportunity to pass off. So, yeah.
And how's it been going for you?
I love it. It's not what I expected, but then again, I didn't know what to expect. But coming here it really has taught me a lot in terms of professional brand and presentation, public speaking, stuff like that. I feel like I've really improved on all that. In terms of the tech side, like I said, I was a computer technician, so I'm a little bit more familiar in that sense. But it's definitely, learning new skills and being proficient in new coding languages, which is always fun. So, yeah.
So why do you want to work in tech?
I think after high school, I really thought about what I wanted to do in terms of a career. And I've always been a huge, for an example, I've always been a huge gamer. So I've always been interested in up-to-date devices, gadgets, stuff like that. And yeah. And I've always liked the idea of working behind a desk with a computer, possibly with some code, stuff like that. It's always interested me.
And what was your biggest challenge or growth area during learning and development? And what did you do to overcome that challenge?
My biggest challenge was definitely public speaking. I've never been a huge public speaker, but definitely converting on that is support from my colleagues and support from staff members. Yeah.
And also to follow up on that, how will you ensure that helps you in internship or in the corporate world after this?
Yeah, most definitely. Well, how that will help me going into internship, we're not expected to be with familiars, other colleagues that we are normally, see on a day-to-day basis. So definitely adapting to new environments is definitely something that this program has showed me to do. And in terms of public speaking, practice makes perfect. So, yeah.
Awesome. You mentioned quality assurance. Yes. You mentioned an interest in possibly someday being able to sit at the computer and do code and check for bugs. And I know my extent of knowledge about quality assurance is just based on the fact that I've worked at Europe for 3 years.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about why quality assurance is something that you're interested in and what makes you a strong candidate for that kind of internship.
So quality assurance it got my attention due to the fact that they mess around with coding languages. They don't necessarily rewrite the code, depending on the position, but just looking at the code in programs or websites and seeing the faulty, seeing the bugs, and just recognizing it and reporting it. It's something that I've never done. I'm more of a hands-on hardware kind of guy, so repairing computers. So I wanted to challenge myself to do something else, and like I said, I'm very tech savvy. I have dealt with a lot of programs with their own bugs and have recognized a lot of bugs and how I feel like I bring that good feedback and that good new perspective, especially young perspective. So.
Thank you. Well, I think it's clear that you have a lot of tech interest. Outside of that, what do you think has been one of your greatest accomplishments at Europe so far?
Outside of Europe?
At Europe.
Oh, at Europe. Biggest accomplishments? I think just networking and getting to know and actually going to these companies' sites, the buildings, getting to know the culture, the type of employees, just the, stuff like the benefits, the programs that they're exposed to. It really has showed me what corporate America is like, and I want to see more of that, and I want to experience that and have it for myself. So.
Cool. Any particular company that sticks out to you?
Well, at first it was Google, but I'm trying to keep it a little bit more realistic. Just to, I'm not saying I can't get into Google because everything's possible, but I think LinkedIn. The LinkedIn visit was very revealing and it's very informative. So that's a really cool company that I would love to work for.
So Europe is a very structured environment, and you're going to be going off to internship where you will have a far less organized structure of time, and you'll have downtime. So what is your plan to ensure that you are successful in that environment?
Well, I think just being an internship in general, since you're going to be given a position in these set of responsibilities, whereas inside Europe, you're juggling different subjects, different classes. So I feel like in internship, it's going to be a bit easier for time management and focusing on the actual whatever assignment project you have. So I feel like just internship on its own is going to be very, how do I word this? It's going to be very hands-on and personal. So I feel like focusing on one thing is definitely my the way I work. I have trouble juggling different subjects, but I think internship is going to be just easier on its own because you have your own set of responsibilities.
I'm curious just based on that response, and I don't think this is what you meant, but just knowing that, having experienced a lot of different interns and having coached a lot of different interns, there is a lot of multitasking and a lot of juggling. What do you do in those situations to make sure that you get everything done on time? Because you mentioned that you have trouble with that, so what are some things that you do to ensure that you still get things done and the quality is still there?
Well, the things that I do, depending on the environment, if it's an open space or more solitude kind of space, I will probably stray away and work alone. I do best, and I get most of my work done when I work alone. But typically I like having the option of conversating with other employees and getting to know them. But when it comes to getting work done, I think solitude is definitely the best option for me. So just straying away and knowing when to take my time out. And yeah.
Great, thank you. And kind of a follow-up to that, you described some of your past work experience and you talked about your time at Europe a little bit. What was a time that you did more than was required of you in your job or in your role?
More than was required, I'd say at the computer repair shop. It was about closing time, and a customer came in last minute to pick up his computer. And because the way it works, they drop off the computer, we fix it, we tell them to pick it up, and that's pretty much it. Usually everyone is happy by that, but this particular customer wanted an explanation of why it happened, how he can avoid it, and stuff like that. So I stayed an hour later just to explain this company and make sure that he leaves home content and comfortable. So just going out of my way for the customer in this case.
So you mentioned that you kind of work better alone and you kind of like to do your own thing. Has there been a time where you've had conflict in the workplace? And if so, how did you handle it?
Conflicts in the workplace. I'd say for my current job, I work at REI as a stock specialist. So, and I had this one altercation with an employee about scheduling. And I'm a very considerate person, so the way we resolve that is just to meet halfway and just figure out something that works for the both of us. But in that sense, I'm very easy to work with. I'm very I don't give off a mean vibe or anything like that. So I feel like that's definitely a plus in terms of working with me and working with others.
How did that situation at RMA work out?
It worked out fine. You
Okay.
know. Yeah, it took out most of the day, and we had to talk to some managers, so it got a little out of hand at first, but I took a step back and tried to take initiative to calm things down.
All right, one more question, then we'll move on to tech task.
Alright, so imagine you were asked to organize a room with a lot of tech equipment. What tools and processes would you use to keep track of what's there and what gets taken out?
Would I have a computer for my use, for my personal use, or what are the tools are given? Like, what tools are given to me?
You're an internship, so you would most likely have a computer. But it's just in general, if you had any equipment that you could use, how would you do that?
The question was, how would I organize it? Correct?
Yeah, how do you organize and keep track of all of it?
Probably categories. Like, you know, what goes with what and which devices or whatever the objects may be, if they relate or they correlate. Categories, listing maybe, making a list, spreadsheet, something like that. Yeah.
Great. All right, we'll move on to the tech path.
Okay. Sounds good.
So